Hello my friends, John LaRuffa here with a straight up solo. And in this episode, we are going to be taking a look at CloudAge. Right there. Alright, so this game has a lot of interesting appeal to it, and we're going to be looking at it from a solo perspective as usual. And the basic deal about this game is you are going to be kind of exploring, which I'll show you, with your airship. And as you explore, you will get to gather some resources, play some cards for upgrades, upgrade your ship, improve your combat value, maybe play some tiles. And then in the similar style of other games by Alexander Pfister, this one allows you to go through some story steps which add things to the board, kind of like a replayable legacy, similar to games like Maracaibo and things like that. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this game looks like from a solo perspective. Okay, so I have the game set up for solo player, and I also have played about a little over half the game already. So I'm going to show you kind of how the game plays from this halfway point, so you get an idea of is this the type of game that you want to explore and use from a solo standpoint. The regular game and the solo game are actually pretty similar. There's just a few points of interaction. I think they did a really good job making the solo game feel like a multiplayer game, to be honest. So let's take a look at what we've got first. Okay, so here's your player board. And with your player board, you can see it's kind of that usual upgradable kind of thing where you can upgrade your combat value. You can upgrade the speed that you can travel. You can upgrade your ability to place tiles, which is this new growth action. You have this manufacturing capability, which looks a lot more complex than it really is. Really, it's, you pay a certain amount of money, or I'm sorry, not money, energy or power to get water and points. Okay, and the further you get on this track, the more power you can pay and the more points and water you can get. This is also an elaborate kind of pentagonal scoreboard. Okay, two pentagons put together. And then here is the main attraction is you're flying your little airship around this board, and the board is double-sided and they're made up of 4 different tiles. And so there's a little bit of replayability there. The replayability also comes in with certain things that you're going to put on the board. So for instance, this tile right here and this one right here covered up something that was previously there from an earlier game because these are legacy tiles. And the legacy tiles come out depending on the actions that you do and how you handle these, I would say, like pauses in the story. Okay, so that's what these little books are here, and we're going to go through one of those as we start. When you do a book action, it tells you what you can do, and you flip the card, and then depending on whether you usually meet the conditions, something good happens, and if you don't, something not as good happens. You usually miss out on something. Over here is the city board, and this is really kind of cool. This is probably the most novel thing in the game. You're going to be prospecting in these cities. I say prospecting, I'm not sure what it really is. It's exploring, but you get to choose when you do that one of these 4 types of resources, either power, water, metal, or project cards, okay? And you sort of see what's in the city, okay? Let me get rid of that glare. Inside that city, you can see the kinds of things there. You can see those solar panels that are orange. You can see the some train tracks that have some stuff on it that'll show like where you can get upgrades. You can see water. You can see what looks like a little metal stack, and then not so much on this one. You can't really see where the project cards are coming from, but that brownish building area over there is where those project cards come out. So you kind of get this idea what's in there, but the cloud obscures your vision, which I think is kind of cool. So on this one, it's like, well, for the most part, it looks like it could see a lot of solar panels. So there's probably a lot of power there. Barely any water, because I only see that little river. But if I look over here, I see a lot more water and a lot less of the other stuff. So maybe this one's pretty rich in water. And I think that's cool. These are actually sleeves, okay? And see, each of the sleeves, you get 6 of them. They have different clouds. You put them together. And the sleeve itself has a sticker on it, which puts the cloud on, which I think is kind of cool. And I'll show you kind of what that looks like as I get into that turn, what it really, what it reveals, okay? You're also going to have this hand of cards, which is your project cards, okay? And each of the project cards is different colors. I shouldn't say each of them. There's 3 types, okay? There's these green ones, and the green ones are usually like one-time bonuses. There's these blue ones that usually upgrade either your movement, sometimes you get more power, more attack, and then there's some other ones, I'd say miscellaneous, that end up being yellow, and these are specific. Like this one says, okay, every time you choose and you find exactly 2 resources in a city, you will get 2 points. So that's kind of cool. Plus, it comes with 2 upgrades on the manufacturing track over there. So, and luckily, this game, it does a real good job. It tells you exactly what the card does. So, I appreciate that. You don't have to really learn the iconography at all because, for the most part, it's written there. So that's kind of cool. And these cards also give you points at the end of the game. The other thing that you have to be paying attention to in this game is these missions. So the missions, you basically can have, you start the game with 2 missions. And every time you get another card, you have to cover one of the mission conditions, okay? So it's not like you go from 2 to 4, you go from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, even though you're gonna have a choice of which mission to get. So, this one gives, at the end of the game, if I've built 4, 5, or 6 upgrades, which are these, upgrades come in, the engines or the attack or this, it's like a growing machine, so to speak. And then I would get bonus points. And the same thing, this one has to do with you visit certain cities on the board. This one says at the end, your last attack value, how much do you generate? And, depending on what you could do, you get some really big points if you can generate up to 13 attack. In the solo conditions to win the game, it is a beat your own score, so to speak. But it's a little bit better than that, I would say. And the reason I say that is because they give you these star charts, okay? So it's it's kind of like a conditional beat your own score. So I'm playing chapter 3 right now. And basically what that means is if I want to get, 5 stars, I've got to get 110 or more points. That's not very easy. Also, you lose a star for every mission that you don't completely max out, all right? So there's, and you can keep track of your stars. And basically what it says is after you play all the games, if you've gotten 30 out of 37 possible stars, you then win the campaign, okay? So I think it's a little better than just beat your own score, but you're not playing against an AI opponent. The AI part of it, or the solo part, is this little component right here. So basically what this chart does is it simulates you taking like a secondary passive action on another player's turn. And I'll show you what that looks like as we get to it. It's fixed, you'll know what's going to happen, but even though you know what's going to happen, the choices are varied enough based on the conditions of the game that it doesn't feel stagnant. It's just one of those kinds of things. So we'll get into that. And that pretty much covers it. The only thing I didn't talk about is that when you do explore these cities, you get to keep the card. So I keep a card that's worth 4, and this is kind of like your deck it's called the navigation deck, but it basically fuels how fast your airship can go on a turn, and it also shows you whether you can get either extra power or extra project cards over here each turn. So having high numbers is good. So going to the city, not only do you get to get some of these resources, but you also get a card of potentially 2, 3, or 4 value. This is a 4 value card. And like I said, once you reveal the city, then it tells you clearly what you get inside that city and if there's any other bonuses. Like for instance, when you see this symbol right here, it means you can discard permanently out of the game one of the bad, or not bad, but not so good cards, let's say, like the 0, that's a bad card that clogs up your hand at the beginning of the game. You just discard it if it's in your discard pile. Or if you see this little wrench, that means you can build one of these basic upgrades again. So that is the overview that I'll give you, and then let's go ahead and take a look. And these tiles down here. These tiles you will place on the board when you do a new growth action. And when you do that, if they are the 2-pointer tiles, they're worth 2 points, they stay on the board, and they will potentially block a spot from someone else, an opponent, using it. But that's not really a factor in the solo game. But you do get to get what you block, so that's kind of a way to get extra points. And if it's one of these kinds right here, then you get to choose one or the other, then put it back into this little draw sack over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get through a full turn, and then you'll see how it plays. All right, so as we begin, every single turn, you go through this whole process step over here. So first, it will say change the first player marker, which doesn't apply in the solo game. And then it says if The next thing on this little track is a book. Like this is kind of your turn marker, so to speak. If you come up to a book and there's nothing behind it, but there's something in front of it, you do this action. So what does it say? In this, it says you have to pay 6 water to get these things and then read the reverse of the card. So I've set aside 6 water right here. I'm gonna go ahead and pay that. And when I pay that 6 water, I will then get 5 points. So let's go ahead and give myself 5 points over here. And that should be the 12 right there. Plus I get my choice of either 3 cards or 3 power. I've got plenty of power. Let's go ahead and draw 3 cards. So I draw them off the top of the deck. Here is card number 1, it's a green market. Card number 2 is an EMP blaster. Let's put that down so you guys can see it. And then number 3 is this inventor, okay? And this deck does change throughout the game. I'm sorry, not throughout the game, so to speak. I guess a little bit. But from subsequent games, you put different things into this deck, just like those legacy tiles. So you'll get different cards that'll go into the draw deck and may come out. Okay, so we did that. Now let's go ahead and read the reverse of the card. So there is a little spoiler here, but I wanted you just to see what it looks like, okay? So if you want to skip ahead 30 seconds, you can skip the spoiler. But let's go ahead and see what it says. So it says, have at least half the players carried out the action, paid the water. Yes, I did. So now I read card 20. If not, I would read card 21. So you take this deck of story cards over here, and I find card 20, which you can see right there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and read it. And this one is basically done for the campaign, right? I've used it, it's over. I'm just gonna put it on the bottom of the deck. And now it says, so Sophia agrees to work on Project Hope. Add project card 4 face up to the city board. Give the card to the first player who selects a region that contains exactly 2 goods. Then there's some flavor text. You hear rumors that a large source of metal is located near Nefaria. Okay, so I go to this set aside bag, which they have you put this little X on, which means these are things not in the game. And then I go ahead and open it here. Impossible to do with one hand. All right, and then I find Sophia, who I believe is literally this card right here. Here we go. All right, there's Sophia, and now I put her next to the deck, or next to the board. So I'm going to get this card, which has a cost, 7 water and 1 other card to play. It gives me some things, and I'm going to get this opportunity to get it if I choose 2 resources exactly on here, and I'll show you how that works. So we'll see. Most likely we'll see how that goes in this turn here. Okay, so now I'm allowed, now that I did that book action, I'm allowed to do production. My production level, again, 2 power to get 3 water and 1 point. I'm certainly going to do that. I have plenty of power, so let's go ahead and get 2 power there. Then I'm going to get 3 water, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then I'm going to get the 1 point. Very simple. Now I draw 2 cards for my navigation deck. All right, I've drawn a 2 and a 3. The 2, the one that's the lowest, is the one that's going to determine whether I decide to get power or extra cards. I'm going to get the power. I'm going to get 2 power. Power is helpful. And then the higher one is going to stay on top of my discard pile and be my base movement for my airship. So my movement is going to be 3 plus any of these little arrow things that I have revealed. So 3 plus 1 is 4, 5 right here. I don't have any other upgrades, so my speed would be 5. Now, if I don't spend this one, I can actually get 2 power. So let's see what I want to do on the board. Each space is usually worth 1. Sometimes a space would have 2 of these arrows, which means that you have to spend 2 to get in there. And what I'm going to do, because I need to get to Eden, Senia, or Cruelfield, I'm going to look around here and I'm going to see, well, I've already gotten to Senia, so that's one of those. Now, where the heck is Eden? Eden is all the way over there, okay? So I better start making my way there. I'm not going to get there this turn, but I'm going to go in that direction. So what I'm going to decide to do is I have 3, 4, 5 total. I'm going to make a big flight out there. I'm going to go like this. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Now, because I moved over this spot, I get 2 metal. Also, you must start and end your movement in some type of city. So this city right here happens to be Promise. Now, it says 3 combat will give me 2 metal and an ability to do an upgrade. Well, why not? Let's go for it. So how do I get my combat? Well, I have 1, 2, 3 combat, 4 combat as a base. If I wanted to, I could spend power to draw more cards and basically add that to my combat value. Okay, but I don't need to because I already have the required amount. The first one you draw is worth 1 power. The next it's 2 powers, or you can spend 3 points. So you can do a lot to actually get there, but it is punitive if you start spending points. All optional. No matter what, whether you fight or not, you take one of your cubes and you put it on the city. In this case, I did accomplish the objective. I did generate 3 combat, so I'm going to get 2 metal here, and then I get to do a basic upgrade action, which I will. So my basic upgrade action is going to be this, because again, I have to do a lot to get a lot of combat power at the end. I got to get to 13 in order to not lose a star at the end of the game. I also need to do as many upgrades as I can in the basic amount. I've already got 3. So I'm going to go ahead and spend 4 of these, and then also is going to be worth, it's not additive, but the highest amount you flipped over is how many points these are at the end of the game. So that'll be up to 6. So let's see. So that was, what did I say? It was 4, right? Yep, 4 metal. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and spend the 4 metal, which I've been hoarding here, to 4. And now I'll have an extra permanent combat value like that. Okay, so I was able to do that because of this wrench, okay? Just to be clear, it was a special bonus on that City of Promise. All right. So now that I've done that, I've completed the entire blue step. Now I go to this step right here. The first thing you do in the solo game is you move this cube down from the next one up to that one down. And it tells you in iconic form, what can I do? So I can choose a resource from pile number 1 or pile number 3, and I can try to guess which one has what I want. Now here's the thing. In the solo game, if you guess the one that has the most, you receive 0 from it. So you can't guess the most. You want to guess 2 or 1, but not 3, okay? So I had piles 1 and 3 to choose from. And I can pretty much guarantee that the water here it looks like it's got the most, okay? Over here, I'm thinking it's probably a combination of either metal or project cards, not as clear cut. And so what do I need? Well, I need to get my hands on a lot of metal to get to that final upgrade. So I'm gonna try to guess the one with metal. But this one is too risky because that could be 2 metal or it could be 3 metal. You can't quite tell with that cloud. And that's good, I think is kind of fun. I could take a much safer bet here, just get 1 metal. That's what I'm going to do. So, or timeout, if I want to get this card, then I have to guess 2. So the question is, am I going to risk anything here to see if I can get 2? My guess is that the power on this card is the 2. So why not? Let's go ahead. That's a clear-cut situation. Let's try it out. So I'm going to put my guy here, showing that I'm not cheating. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the top card out of this and see what I get. And, oh, lucky me. I was able to peer through the clouds. Come on. Peer through the clouds and make the right choice. So you can see power was 2. Water was 3. If I'd guessed 3, I would have gotten nothing. But because I guessed right, 2 of these, 1, 2. And because of that condition here, it says, give the card to the first player who selects a region that contains exactly 2 goods. Well, that was me. So here we go. Now I've got another card that I can build, and that's a pretty good card, okay? Or some points. That's nice. All right. Then, unlike, this is different because of the solo move here. I do not put this in my hand. I just go ahead and discard it. So we're not going to do that. So that was the whole solo deal. That is the only real different thing that happens in a solo game is you do that move first. Then you go ahead and you make your normal move, your normal city action, which is just one of these actions, okay? That can either be to build upgrades or cards, project cards, do the city action like I just did again, and this time take the card, okay? Or do this growth action. Now, based on what I've got here, I've got a decent amount of resources. I've got a ton of these tiles. I'm in this spot over here, and I need metal, right? So I'm going to demonstrate how to do that city growth action. I'm going to put my guy over here, and it lets me place down these tiles. Now, if we were playing in a multiplayer game, the other people would follow with a different type of action. So this has a leader follow mechanic in it, but that does not happen in the solo. I have the ability to place 3 tiles because I upgraded this once, and it's a base of 2. So in this case, I want to get these resources, all right? My legal moves are to place these tiles adjacent to where my airship is or adjacent to an extension on the ground. So I could put it here and then here and then here if I wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and put one of them here. This is worth 2 points. So I put one there. I get 2 points. All right. I'm going to do it again. Put one here. Get 2 points. Those also, I get the metal because I covered it up. So that's 4 more metal. All right. And now I have one more tile I could play. I'm going to actually do this one because I need some more water. I've got a lot of things that give me water, or that I need water for. So let's go ahead and take 4 water. We're going to discard this back into the bag. I might draw it again. All right. And that was my move. So that was an entire round, okay? Because I've finished this track. I've done everything. I've placed my guy, which is this little drone guy. And that is what the game is like. So that gives you a flavor of all the different facets of the turns that you're going to you'll be taking, kind of how it works. If I wanted to build a card, so if I had taken this, just to be clear, I could have built 2 cards or a card and upgrade, or taken 1 resource and then build an upgrade. And you basically just pay the cost here, put the card down, do what it says. Pretty straightforward, but I'm not going to demonstrate that just now because I took a different action to demonstrate. But you can get the idea. All right, and like any other kind of deck builder, when you exhaust your navigation deck, you flip it over, shuffle, and then redraw. All right, so let's go back up to me, and I'll tell you what I think about this game from a solo perspective. Okay, so CloudAge. From a solo perspective, I would say it is very, very easy to execute. The solo mode is literally just following that little, do this, do this, do this once per turn. Very simple. Everything else about the game is intact. All of the rules apply from multiplayer to the solo, so you're not missing out on anything. The only thing you're not getting is a little bit of player interaction. Player interaction coming from somebody else choosing one of those moves, excuse me, in the city, and you following along. That's what that little, I'm pointing to it, but it's on my table. That's what that little chart does for you instead. And also with the multiplayer, you do get a little bit of board action, maybe a little blocking, but it's minor at best. So this game is, I'd say, very, very, very soloable, and easy to do. Okay, so that's a big plus. It is not a very heavy game, but it is not a simple and light game. I'd say it's medium to medium light complexity. So to put it into places for other ones of Pfister games I've played, it is lighter than Maracaibo for sure. Maracaibo has more challenging decisions. This one's a little more straightforward. It is definitely lighter than Great Western Trail. But it is not like a really ridiculously light game. You saw kind of how it looks, right? You're going to be building up your airship every game. You're going to be doing different things to explore different things. The exploration mechanic is fun. I like what they did with those clouds. Simple mechanic, gives you a little bit of choice, and it's not clear exactly what you're going to get. So I like that. I think that's novel. And there are different paths to, scoring points. Now, I can also tell you it's a tough game to score well on, at least for me so far. This has been my 3rd or 4th game, and I have found that it is difficult to achieve those, several star ratings. Very, very difficult, actually. So far, I think my top score was maybe 71, 72. So it's not like it's just going nuts there. So that's that. Also, I would say that the variability is high because even though you're still kind of going left to right every time in the game, because you're doing these stories, it changes the whole feel. Because you've got a whole bag of tiles that might come out, and depending on what you do, it changes the feel. I really like that. And if you don't want to do the campaign, you can do 3 different scenarios that basically start you very beginning of the game with missing even some of the actual mechanics to a middle point to the end point. I like that also, so that you can basically play, once you finish the campaign, you can kind of play all in with a scenario that gives you the full flavor. So I do appreciate that. I think that what you saw here, if that excites you, you're going to like it. You pretty much saw everything that you're going to do. You're going to upgrade, you're going to move, you're going to explore, you're going to generate a tag value, so to speak. And then I think that, you're going to rinse and repeat. You're going to do that, 8 maximum 8 rounds in this game. And that is it. I like it. I like playing it solo. I think it's fun. I like reading a little story. I like how the board changes. It is on the lighter side. If you wanted something meatier than the other games that he's done, like Maracaibo or Great Western Trail, you're not going to find that here. You're going to find a much more streamlined and simpler game. But it's also easier to remember how to play and easier to execute. You know, Maracaibo had, with the solo game, I really like that one too, for sure. But it had a lot more going on, a lot more decisions to make. This is really playing more of a solitaire experience, but still gives you the feel. So I like that. Hopefully this video was helpful for you. Again, I'm John LaRuffa. This has been a straight up solo episode of CloudAge. I hope whatever you play next, you really have a good time. Take it easy, everybody. Thank you.